welcome back to Dr. Walls and Friends. We were just having a very rich discussion, and Seafood Cliff, you were saying before break.
Yeah, we were just talking about, if we operate together, we benefit ourselves, and at the same time, we change the image of martial arts. So, Lao Tzu says, we say it's all about friendship, but Lao Tzu says to have friendship, you have to first be friendly.
How simple is that?
Yeah. So listen.
Yeah. Extending the olive branch.
Exactly.
Somebody has to make the first move, right?
I think there's a really interesting statement that somebody said you can't greet someone with a clenched fist, and it begins with first opening your hand. I think that's
I like that. Very nice. I like that. Very nice. Very nice. Sure.
As
Hit him with the palm.
there you go. That would be a high five, wouldn't it?
Jumps out.
So now let me ask you, so philosophically, spiritually, what have you gained from being in the martial arts for as long as you have?
People George, what you got
George.
about that?
All right. The way I see it, and when I started, my philosophy was like I'm learning it for self-defense, so I'm learning the martial art. Now years passed by, I move over the art. And now I'm trying to more philosophical, understand what's going on, and really go into the art part. So martial art for me started with more like the defense and self-defense, and this is it. Now it goes more to deeper, a little bit more deeper in it. But maybe it's because I'm from Europe. So,
Who else? Philosophically,
I can tell you something interesting, and I agree with the Grand Master that when I started it was all about practical self-defense, and it's still very practical, but I think one thing is my instructor, him and I met a few years ago, we were at a tournament and he was looking at my students and he said, what style is that? Because it wasn't a traditional style, it was traditional, it was fighting and punching and blocking, and we became good friends, and I was the first adult student of his in 14 years, and he said that you only need one requirement to be my student, one. And I said, what is that, sir? And he said, you need to teach and share everything you've ever learned and everything I'm going to teach you. No secret that you're going to hold on to the secret and it's going to be something that you know that nobody else knows. You have to give it to get it. And I have obviously lived by that, and it has made me much richer because, I still work on my listening skills, but I do share as much as I can, and it feels pretty good. So.
all right.
For me, I learned that even though I've been prejudiced against, that underneath, like Bruce Lee said, underneath the stars and the sky, we're all one family, and we should be looked at as humans, not as somebody different, because we're all the same. We all bleed the same, we all eat the same, we all drink, we all sleep the same. So we should be looked at as human beings and not as something that's you're going to prejudice against. But I also learned spiritually that without the martial arts, I wouldn't be able to survive because it's spiritual for me.
What one of the real differences is for Americans. Last year we were featured over at Caesars. Right over there. Oh, no, that way, Atlantic City. And CNN reporter was there, and they checked it out. They were blown away. And they say our event is like the martial arts Comic-Con. The big difference between us and them, not just our numbers. We have less numbers because less people are interested in martial arts, but more people are interested in fantasy. None of us are fantasy. It's all real. We have guy that hit a brick, 2 bricks on the bottom break, the top one's untouched. Sifu Chow, master of ground fighting, master of hurting people, chokehold, stuff like that. Every one of us have a story, but we're real life martial artists. People are you're 8 years old, you said, when you quit. Okay, well, multiply that. by multiple years. Where are you now? You're where we are. Nothing different. Never quit, and you can achieve something. You know? Sifu Chow here, he's got more wisdom than probably all of us. So
I wouldn't say
whatever
that.
he's done.
Well, I would,
We all have something-
I
we
would
all have
say
something
that
to share.
because the process of life is learning, teaching, and
Living.
and feel grateful about yourself. And so Bruce Lee said, "Take no limit as a limit." So you always let your mind absorb as many things, and I find out I enjoy teaching is another learning process. You know, you go to a different level because you're sharing. You have to process the information. You have to interpret. Because nobody gonna teach the same technique the same way, but you have to make sure the other side understand what you're talking about, and then also that always look into your student's eye, look at your friend's eye, why they want to talk this way, why they want to move this way, why your wife wouldn't talk to you for half an hour.
Respect.
That is respect because you watch those. I enjoy body mechanic because this is actually the most primal language that we have. That's why I believe you make a move, you make a technique. It's also part of the body language. So, hey, should I hurt this guy, or should I just stop, or should I just? Or is it just a message that you send out? So I think it's learning martial arts. We should all learn how to communicate, and communicate. I believe is the biggest problem in this whole world right now. That's why all this thing going on because,
terrorism, yes.
because someone want to express themselves the wrong way. Someone
Want to go to the extreme.
Yeah.
someone took the other person's meaning the wrong
That's
way.
right. By the way, we quoted Bruce Lee a lot, right? I heard a lot.
Yeah.
My students, I come in and I say this, practice makes perfect. They say no. Perfect practice makes perfect. That's doing things over and over again the right way. Yes sir, no sir. My students, how are you today? Never had a bad day, whatever. Super great, never felt better, sir. That's what they have to say. That's creating, somebody could have this style, Wing Chun, Hon Hap Do, Kung Fu, this, that. You know what it is? We're creating better human beings. That's the core is, yes sir, no sir. You mentioned polite, being nice to each other. That's what the world is. That's what the world needs. We talked about earlier, I said, nobody's taking personal responsibility. Everybody wants to take things that you worked for. We need a kinder, gentler world. We need to be nice to each other.
It's not Bruce Lee. He might have said it.
We
But
might have repeated it.
It's Confucius.
Yeah.
Right.
450 BC.
Right.
He said we need to educate people in culture and becoming better. Feel good for yourself instead of warring each other. He told the one city, why is your wall 40 feet tall? And the next city, the wall is 10 feet tall. He says, why don't we all have the same wall? What? Or no wall.
Well, Ed Parker said it good too. He said, feeling is believing, and feeling to me is an emotion. And if we could feel love for each other and take care of each other and just be brotherhood and sisterhood, then we wouldn't have that.
Yeah,
Feeling is believing.
two points that I'd like to make is that I think martial arts needs to be shared. There's something that I've quoted for years, which is if you're not sharing, you're really not being honest. You're not being honest to you. You're not being honest to the students that come to train with you. And you're not being honest to yourself. And the thing is that they say that a truth untold is a lie unspoken. And you know, you kind of keep it in that kind of mental idea, like if you're not really telling the truth, then you're lying to people.
That's right.
If you're not openly sharing, you know, what you have, and what good does it do to have this knowledge if I'm not sharing it with people? What good is it? You know, it's going to get lost with me. Really? Nobody ever is going to know it again? Come on,
You know, I
You don't want to bury the truth
That's right.
with you.
That's right. And I always say, you know, it's important to share your talents, and your talents are gifts to other people. A friend of mine said, you know, your talents are really gifts to another person. And I sat with that for a moment, and I said how hurt I would be to find out that someone didn't use their talent, whether it's of teaching, of protecting, or so forth. And at the end of their life, there's a closet with all of these gifts in there with my name on it. And we know my birthday is coming up. And I want my gift.
Happy birthday to
Thank you.
The second point I wanted to make also was that Master Chow was actually talking about communication, and the whole idea of what we do as martial artists is we communicate. John Crane, a good friend of mine, he's one of the top martial arts choreographers in Hollywood today. John Crane actually wrote a book called The Art of Conversation, and it's through that whole physical media. And like, what are we talking about when we say communication? Well, it can be words, or it can be physical actions, but
looks, body
that's
movement.
it. But the whole idea is that when you're talking about communication, how does that really break down to a martial artist? Well, look, if I'm in a physical confrontation with somebody, that's them trying to communicate to me. It really is. They're frustrated and don't understand how to get those words out to make me understand their side of the argument. So it's like, I just want to hit you because you're not seeing my point of view.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
as a martial artist, I have to understand their point of view. I have to see it from their side. So if he's throwing a punch at me, I may deflect it. And in a way, it's really my way of communicating, saying, look, I'm trying to see what you're saying, but you have to see what I'm saying. So it's really that 50-50
It's a message.
conversation. Yeah.
But
So
to
it's a
get
whole
that, but to
conversation.
achieve that first, one of our old masters, a friend of yours, Elder Wang Shanyan, he said,
Wang Shen Lao.
Wang Shanyan, he said, if you want to do kung fu with somebody, your first goal should be